It's time for the Brown Sports Bag on WCLU, the official local sports show here in Glasgow and Barron County. And now, alongside John Butler, here is your host, James Brown.
Welcome back to the Brown Sports Bag again this week, presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. We are here. We're going to talk about some soccer to start with, and we were supposed to have Barron County boys soccer coach Lawrence Yeakin. People call him Bobby Niken. Yeah, so but they had their photos today, and I think their practice was starting like at 4:30 or something like that. So he's going to try to squeeze us in here, and hopefully he can still make it over. Next week we're supposed to have Glasgow coach Ken Mahung in to talk about the Glasgow Scotties, but the season actually starts today. But
that's right.
Only the Glasgow boys are playing today. Everybody else is playing either tomorrow, or the Barron County girls don't start until Thursday. If you want to, you can go back to the Brown Sports Bag online, and you can listen to our interview with Lainey Smith last week with Barron County Trojanettes, and then the week before with Scott Zettelmoyer for the Glasgow Lady Scotties. In their absence, or in Coach Niken's absence, we're going to talk a little bit about the high school soccer season that starts today. And I think we'll start on the boys' side, because I think what was kind of interesting to me when I was going back through the records from last year, you know, Barron and Glasgow boys played in the district final last year. Glasgow won it 3-1. I think the most critical player for the Trojans last year was probably Caleb Self, their goalie. Because you look back at their season, they had a solid season. They went 9-13-1, played a pretty good schedule. He had an outstanding senior year in the goal, I thought, for the Trojans, and really played well as a junior. They're going to miss him. I mean, you can't replace your goalie. That's hard to do.
Well, you can.
You can put somebody else in there, but if you got a good one,
they will have somebody back there.
Yes, that's right. They're not going to play empty goal, John. You're right about that. They will not be playing empty goal back there. But yeah, so I think that's going to be an interesting thing for them.
He was a good player. That's exactly right. And saved a lot of goals.
Yeah, I mean he was the master of the spectacular save too in a lot of big games.
Yep.
So that's it. And he was about probably 6'1" or so. So he's a good lanky kid, filled up the goal, good athletic kid, fearless in the goal. Yes, you're right. You can put another goalie in there, but it's hard to replace a good one.
They had a huge senior class.
Yes.
Their top two scorers were both seniors, Max Bennett and Junius Smith, and I think they scored half their goals.
Yeah.
But it was a funny team. They had a huge senior class, but they also had a lot of freshmen that found ways out on the field too. You know, so you never know. Sometimes those freshmen become sophomores, and he's got some freshmen right now. So, they'll be considerably younger, but. Mm-hmm. But sometimes younger can be better.
Yeah. So, well, they're definitely going to need to lean on some guys. The other guy that they lost, you mentioned the goal scorers and Junius Smith and Max Bennett there. But the other guy I thought they lost, and a lot of people probably just didn't. It's one of those things where you play that defensive mid or that offensive midfield position, and you don't get a whole lot of recognition, because when you look at the stat sheet, that guy doesn't have a lot of goals. They may not have a lot of assists, but they make a lot of the key plays during the course of a game one way or the other. And that was Paul Edberg. I mean, he was the younger of the Edberg twins that graduated the year before, younger brother to the twins that graduated the year before. And he was one of the more experienced players coming back last year, like Caleb Self. And so I think he's another guy that is an unsung role to fill on a soccer pitch. And so, that's one of the guys that Coach Niken's going to have to try to figure out to get somebody into that spot. And that's maybe where some of these young guys come in. Maybe they were capable of playing that spot, but they just didn't have the experience yet to fill in where Edberg was. So those are going to be some key guys for them. When you look at their schedule, I'll grab it over here because I put it my arms reach away from myself. But you look at their schedule, they start tomorrow at Hart County. And that's a game I feel like should be a pretty good one for them to start off with, in terms of decent team, but not an overpowering team like playing a Bowling Green or Warren Central or somebody like that. And then on Saturday they play back-to-back games. Well, back-to-back. They play two games on Saturday. They play Russellville at 10 a.m. Russellville has been a pretty good program in recent years. Again, kind of like Hart County and maybe like Barron, they're kind of in that other tier of teams. And Muhlenberg County, which is usually a pretty decent soccer program up there, they play them on Saturday. So I'm curious to see how they get started tomorrow. I'm going to go over there tomorrow whenever they play. And then we mentioned the Scotties. They won the district last year, finished 16-8. Had a pretty disappointing game in the first round of the region. Ended up losing to Franklin Simpson 5-2. I know they were pretty disappointed about that outcome because I think they thought they were better than that result. And they had played better than that result through most of the season.
Yeah, and I think it's fair. Last year, Glasgow was they were really good, got better and better and better. And if you told me they lost in the region to a Bowling Green or a South Warren or Warren Central, that I would understand that.
Yeah.
The Franklin was a little bit of a surprise, though Franklin ended up having a good team.
Right. Yeah, so, now for Glasgow, they did lose their goalie as well, Walker Thornberry, but their number 2 goalie last year, Josie Lopez, played almost all the games. He would get in a few minutes here and there, so they really have a goalie experience coming back. He was just a sophomore, so we'll see. It's not quite like Barron County's situation where they really didn't have that second goalie filling in a lot of times. Now, for them, they lost 2 key guys, one of them being Darwin Hernandez, who led them in assists. I think he had 24 last year. And then Avery Grisham, who played sort of like the role Paul Edberg did for Barron. He played that defensive mid, which is a guy you don't see a lot of stats on. I think he only had 1 goal last year, maybe 1 assist, but does a lot of the dirty work in the middle of the field. So they're going to miss those guys. Now, they, meanwhile, return. I think they will have 7 seniors this year. And this is a class that we thought would be pretty good when they were freshmen. This includes Jared Malagon, who led the district with 36 goals, led by 16 goals. He was one of the top goal scorers, I think, in the state by the time it was all said and done. Kicks for the football team as well, so he's pulling double duty again this year. But he's a threat with the ball from just about anywhere on the offensive side of the field. He can hit them from long range. He can get them in there and scoop them in and whatnot. So, they have a lot of firepower returning. They have him. I think Isaiah Ramos is coming back. I think he had 8 goals last year. So, I think when you look at their situation this year, Coach Mahung, and if we get him in here next week, I'm sure he'll talk about this. This is a season he's kind of had circled as one where he thinks that this team has the ability to do some things. And I didn't print out a schedule, but I'd say hit the schedule because I think they have Greenwood and Warren Central on this regular season schedule. And then they were playing Bowling Green and South Warren in scrimmages. So, he's kind of circled this season and looks like he's loaded up a schedule that's going to be pretty tough for him.
Yeah, that's generally an indication.
Yeah.
How many schools from Bowling Green do you play?
Right.
Obviously you have to play Warren East because they're in the district. But, yeah, that's generally an indication. And, the district always – the region always runs through the Bowling Green.
Yeah.
The Bowling Green region. That's one of those schools that won it. I don't know. Has anybody ever won it outside of Bowling Green, Greenwood, South Warren, or Warren Central?
I don't believe so.
Okay. All right. So that's the goal. That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Somebody to break through.
Yeah, you got to beat one of them.
Right.
So anyway, I think they are looking now going in, and I don't, I'm sure every coach in the district thinks their team has a chance to win the district. But if I were to take a baseline guess headed out the gate, I think everybody would, with honesty serum, would say Glasgow's a team to beat on the boys' side. Warren East lost, I think, 2 of their top 3 scorers. They have 1 coming back. So now they ended up having a pretty good season last year, Warren East did, and they're going to be good enough year in and year out, especially in this district. But right now I'd have to put Glasgow first. You return a guy who scored 36 goals last year and is the number 1 goal scorer in the district.
That helps.
Yeah, that's going to set you in pretty good shape. Meanwhile, on the girls' side, the Trojanettes ended up 10-8-1 last year. They lost to Warren East in the district final. But, of course, Warren East graduated Decca Burr, who scored 64 goals last year, John. That's
a lot.
No joke. No joke.
It's like averaging about 38 a game in basketball, right?
It is. It's Michael Jordan-esque numbers out there. So, that kind of opened, since Warren East graduated her, they had a couple of players coming back, but that kind of evens the field, I think. And I would think Barron's probably in pretty good shape because they bring back their top 2 goal scorers, and Shelby Burden and Haley Mutter. They did lose their goalie who moved, but in their scrimmage the other day, I think it was Emma Powell played goalie for them, and she looked good.
Good.
Coach Smith said felt good about her. She's a freshman, and she looked good in that game. Played the position pretty well, I thought. So, they look good. Now, they lost pretty much all of their defense from last season, their defensive players. So they've got some new people back there and some younger people back there. So we'll see how that goes. That's going to take some adjustment as the season goes along, I think. And then the Glasgow Lady Scotties, they ended up winning their scrimmage too against Pulaski Southwestern 1-0, and that's usually a pretty good program.
Yep, that's good. Yeah.
And then the Lady Scotties, they went 6-11 last year. Like I mentioned, we had Scott Zettelmoyer.
That's 6 more than 2 years ago.
Yes, it was. I mean, much improved. They did lose a couple of key players, midfielders with experience, Allison Bragg and Jenny Miranda, that they will miss them. But they've got some – Scott talked about it, and he has some young players that he feels really good about that has come out of their girls' middle school program they built over the last few years. They do bring back their goalie and LaDeja Driver, and so that's a good shot for them. And he felt good about their offensive players coming back. Danica Stevens, Audrey Burchett, and Ava England probably there. I think Danica and Audrey are in pretty good shape coming back. So, that'll be good for them. Right now, I would guess Barron and Warren East probably be the favorites in the district. I'm not sure which one. Probably Barron if you've got your goal scoring coming back.
But Glasgow's gotten much closer.
Yeah, and they played a scrimmage the other day against Todd County and ended up winning it 3-1.
Barron did, yes.
Glasgow did.
Okay.
And they look good.
So Barron beat Southwestern.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Barron beat Southwestern. Glasgow beat Todd Central.
County.
Okay.
Yep. And they look pretty good. They were working the ball pretty well. The only goal they gave up was a bit of a mistake right before the half, but they played a much cleaner game in the second half. So, I think it's going to be a pretty interesting district. It's going to be tighter than it has been in the last couple of years. And, of course, Allen County, Scottsville was not bad last year. New program, but they've got a couple of girls who are pretty good soccer players. They don't quite have the depth maybe of, say, Barron or Warren East. And maybe Glasgow's kind of built that depth now, so we'll have to see about that. So it'll be interesting, but it
starts today.
Starts today. Glasgow's playing at Logan County today at 7 o'clock. Augie Brown will be over there covering that for us. He'll have some photos online. We'll have some results online later. And that's also part of the 2A sectional. I know you love that kind of stuff, John.
I don't. Don't understand it.
Another tournament that lasts months on end.
It makes no sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So anything else on that soccer front you can think of there, John?
No, I mean, now soccer is now the second official sport to get underway for the 25 season behind golf, and so now we'll add soccer, and next week we'll add volleyball.
That's right.
And football.
And football, that is correct. Yeah, volleyball starts Monday, football Friday, the 22nd. So this is Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. When we come back, Chris Franklin will join us to talk about football.
Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's back to the studio with James and John, the Brown Sports Bag.
Welcome back to the Brown Sports Bag, presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. Today we're also going to be presented by Don Franklin, because we got Chris Franklin in here to talk about what they have going on, but more importantly, I guess, focused on the bowl game that is coming up a week from Friday. So it'll be August 22nd. Glasgow and Barron County will be playing. Glasgow is at the 6 o'clock game, and Barron's at the 8 o'clock game. And it's the Don Franklin, but I don't know. It's not called the Turf War or anything like that anymore. It's got some. Do you just call it a Don Franklin Bowl these days?
That's all I've been calling it.
Is that right? You just call it the Don Franklin Bowl these days?
Yeah, that's it.
So how do you guys get involved as like the lead sponsor on a bowl game or something like that?
Well, we work with both the local schools as much as possible, and we wanted when we moved in here this town in 19. We wanted to make sure that was one of the first things that we were able to accomplish, because, our owners really love being involved with things with children. So we're really getting involved in a community activity. So they were looking for somebody at Barron County, and we wanted to be a part of it. So the athletic director, Warren Cunningham, and I just sat down and kind of put this together. He did all the work, and I just said, okay, we'll be a part of it. But it's worked out great for both of us, I think, and we're real excited about this year.
Well, and if I'm not mistaken, though, you were a little bit instrumental in a couple of things. One is getting Glasgow and Barron to play in that same bowl game again, because they used to do it years ago when we had the TJ Bowl, and then maybe even influencing a little bit of them playing each other again during the regular season. I know you guys were really in favor of that happening going back a few years. Maybe you personally, more so than maybe Bell and Franklin as a business or whatever, because they hadn't played for a little while, and I understand that you guys were like, yeah, this is something that needs to happen.
Absolutely, it's too good of a game for this community, and I was fortunate to play in a lot of great games, and I made the name of this thing the Crosstown Classic. We always try to give it a name because a lot of the games that I played in were classic games that you would probably replay and watch over again. But we love being a part of it, and we did kind of stick our nose into this a little bit. To try to get that game back on a couple years ago, and fortunately we were all able to sit down from both schools and kind of me in the middle, and we were able to all agree that it's too good not to happen, and we're able to put it back together.
Yeah. So how does it go about in terms of, or you may not have anything to do with this, who plays who for the bowl game? Because we don't get involved in that. We just do our part as far as sponsoring, and if they need things along the way, but we don't put our nose in who plays who, and that's not our decision. Yeah, because it's kind of curious because Don Franklin's got dealerships now everywhere, and everywhere it is, it kind of gets involved in the local sports scene and sponsoring things. And I didn't know if maybe you guys were like, hey, why don't you play so-and-so or so-and-so.
Now, we would love one day to have a huge bowl game where all of our teams played in the cities we represent were to be in that bowl game.
Southwestern Pulaski, there is a dealership, a couple of dealerships in Somerset, right?
We've got several over in Somerset. So, 3 of the 4 teams in this will actually be represented by our dealerships in their town. So we've almost got it perfect.
Now let's talk a little bit about your football days, because that was a little bit ago. But what did you love most about playing football?
Man, it was the build up to the game. The smoke from the grill. And where I live at, I can run in my cul-de-sac before a game, and I can see the smoke, and I still kind of get excited and kind of go back a little bit. But back then, I tell some people now that I've never played in front of a crowd that wasn't totally full. Because when we would come out at 6 o'clock to warm up, there's people everywhere already at every game we played, and I know things are different now. There's so many things going on at one time, and that's one thing that I wish the schools could change. If I could change anything, that Friday nights are football nights, and once that game starts, everything stops at this time. Even for basketball and all the other sports, so everybody could support that event. But it was just the support that we had from the community, and that's one of the things that made me work so hard to try to get the Glasgow Barron game back, because this community needs that game, you know, and both the schools do too, and that's one of the reasons I pushed so hard, because I remember the great times that I had when I played.
Are you guys going to be involved in the pep rally that is the Wednesday before Glasgow and Barron play each other?
We're not directly involved in that, but I've been asked to do some things, so we may do some things quietly, but we're not directly involved in it.
What's your you mentioned how much you loved playing on Friday night or getting ready for that game and everything. Do you have a specific football memory that it's always stands out to you?
I guess it was probably way back my junior year in '91, I guess. We played against Monroe County, and they were so good back then. They had a guy named John Ross. I think he may be an eye doctor or something, maybe from Tompkinsville. And they had a guy named Jabbar Pipkin, I think, that went to play for UK. And I think his last year he played for Eastern Kentucky. But they had us down 26-0 at halftime. And, we were the top 2 teams in the area in the district. And we came back and beat them that game. And it just I think they may have been like better top seed higher than us or something. So that's one of the main things that sticks out in my head. And then probably my senior year, I may be getting these dates wrong, but we went up to Corbin, which they were great teams back then. Huge. They may have been 22, 23 years old, but they were still good. But we went up and played them. They were the number 1 team in the state at that time. We were number 2. And we went up there in a very, very hostile environment and beat those guys. And, I was talking about the fans that I played in front of here that I was fortunate to play in front of when I played here at Glasgow. They probably had 6,000 or 7,000 people at a game up there. It was, the whole town shut down. So
Yeah.
it was a little different, but those are probably two of the best memories there.
Yeah, John?
It's nothing like with football. Practices can be a grind and things like that, but Friday nights are those. There's not anything quite like it. But you only play once a week.
Absolutely.
And especially if you have a good team, Glasgow's kind of been spoiled with really good teams throughout the years and culture. And I think Barron kind of saw that last year with the team that Barron had arguably one of their best teams. They went farther than they've ever been. I don't know if it's their best team compared to some of the others, but just the people that got behind it and so forth was, those were all your memories and things like that. Those are the great times and so forth. So, football is important, but also, with Don Franklin, I'll just say this: since they've really come along, it's not just football. They're involved in sponsorship of all the basketball games, through the broadcasts and so forth, baseball, softball. They just play such a huge roles in helping both schools out, and I can't thank them enough for that support they've given.
Yeah.
We're glad to do it. I'm just thankful
because they don't have to.
We don't have to.
That's
yeah.
correct.
I'm just thankful we got an ownership group that those kind of things are important. Community involvement, school involvement, that they allow me to do those things. So hats off to those guys.
I guess with the way that they started as a company, that's kind of one of their bread and butters just from out of the gate when they first started as a company.
Very humble. We started in Columbia, Kentucky. They still live there today, and they've grown tremendously. I think I've been with them 10 years, and the growth that I've seen in 10 years has not been because we haven't given back to the communities or try to play a vital role in the communities, but it's you couldn't work for a better group of people.
Yeah. Anything else you want people to know, Chris?
Well, we're talking about this bowl game, but I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn, but on the 29th is when Glasgow and Barron plays, and of course that's the game that we always call the Crosstown Classic, and we really tried to build it up as well. So it's going to be a huge game, and make sure everybody's out because the first game when we played in 23, I guess it was when the game first came back. I was kind of down on the field in the pregame, and some of the players were just kind of looking around in the stands because all the people there.
Yeah, the first time they hadn't played in 6 years. That group of kids had never played each other in high school.
And they were just amazed of all the people there and the buzz in the air. And
great game. It went in overtime.
It went in overtime. We couldn't ask for anything better for the first game back. So, but just make sure everybody comes out for that game on the 29th too. I think it's at Glasgow this year. So we'll be there trying to do some special things too that night for both sides.
All right. Yeah, we got an exciting couple of weeks coming up, with those first 2 weeks of the football season. Everybody's always excited to get the season started, but we got the Don Franklin Bowl game, and then the next week we have the Crosstown, what'd you call it?
Crosstown Classic.
Crosstown Classic on the 29th, and so we'll basically have 2 full weeks of just football, high school football, local high school football that people can get all fired up about. And then ironically, the day after the first game over here, WKU plays at home on the 23rd. I mean, so they're at that week 0. So, I mean, it's not even like high school football is getting started and we got to wait a little while. We got a whole bunch going on just right out the gate there.
I know. We're jumping right into it.
That's right. All right, it's Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be right back.
Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's back to the studio with James and John, the Brown Sports Bag.
Welcome back to the Brown Sports Bag, presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. I want to thank Chris Franklin for dropping by and talking to us about the Don Franklin Bowl and the getting involved, how they have gotten involved in sponsoring local athletics, and they're just really big into it. I mean, you've got to have somebody who's willing to step up and do that. And also, I mean, he was very modest about the influence they had on getting this bowl game put together with Glasgow and Barron playing in it, and Glasgow and Barron playing each other again in football. But I mean, I know Chris and those guys and several other people in the community, spent a couple of years trying to say, look, we got to get this game back on the schedule.
Yeah, it's needed for the community, needed for the kids and the schools. Well, there's no better payday.
No.
Than when you host either the bowl or the Glasgow Barron game.
Yeah.
Great gate.
Yeah, I think it was about probably 4 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe even longer than that. I think we were talking to Warren and a couple of others. And, I mean, we were talking about the fact that gate, that gate was somewhere around $10,000 by itself when they played each other in football, not counting whatever came in through concessions and sponsorships and whatever else may come with it. I mean, it was a huge hole in the athletic budget for both schools,
Right.
not playing each other in football. And it was fascinating what Chris pointed out there about the players, what you guys were talking about with the players showing up and looking in the stands and being like, look at all these people here.
Yep.
You just don't – there's not another regular season football game like that.
Not here.
No.
No.
So you got to get deep in the playoffs to even have a chance to have one like that usually. Anyway, speaking of football, though, the KHSAA sent out a little memo about fights at high school football games.
Scrimmages.
Yeah, it's scrimmages.
Yeah,
I mean, not even games that count.
The first week that teams could scrimmage was this past week. And,
Yeah.
And evidently there were some issues at several of the scrimmages across the state where some poor behavior broke out among players, fights, parents, and so forth. So they sent this edict out to football coaches basically saying, listen, you need to get a hold of some things.
Yeah. They put I thought the message was fascinating because I think at the top it said something like, this isn't going to your administrators or whatever. It was directly to the football coaches to say, get control of your players and make sure that they understand the penalties for fighting, that they understand the penalties, potential penalties for, just bad conduct in general, and the poor sportsmanship. I think is what they refer to it as.
Yeah, and there's you walk a fine line in football.
Yeah, you do.
You're not going to win very many games if you're scared to tackle somebody and to be physical.
Yeah.
So the game is and it's controlled violence.
Yes.
But it's a violent game that awards aggressiveness.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a line. I mean, there are rules and there's sportsmanship and things like that has to be enforced. And really, I've always felt like teams that like to fight and get a lot of penalties are undisciplined, and eventually that's going to cost them.
Yeah.
So, you have to really players have to understand. I think it comes from coaching, and coaches have to get through to players that listen. Getting ejected is not only not cool, but it hurts the team.
Yeah,
gives the school a bad name and so forth.
Cost you money.
Cost you money, and penalties cost you games and so forth. So there's that line that and maybe sometimes coaches. They feel like maybe some of these teams, it's a scrimmage, and maybe that's.
Yeah.
But I think the KSOSA made it very, very clear that they don't care if it's a scrimmage or a game. This is not going to be tolerated, and I thought that was probably wise to get a hold of it now before it gets really out of control.
Yeah, I don't know. On this show at least, and probably beyond this show, there's been a lot of discussion in recent years about the actions of fans and parents during athletic events more so than what's happening on the field. And I don't know if that's because what's been happening on the field has not been as egregious as maybe at some point in time, or if it's just that it's just been overshadowed by what's been going on in the stands with the fans and that kind of stuff. And, threatening officials, et cetera, like that. I don't remember having any recent stories necessarily about players assaulting officials.
Of course, I cover Barron, and Jay Turner and Robert and I do the Barron games, and I haven't noticed really any major. Occasionally you're going to get some unsportsmanlike penalties or anything like that. And I think maybe there was an incident last year or the year before, but it's. I felt like Barron was very, very. They didn't have a lot of penalties last year. I think that's what made them one of the reasons why they were successful and so forth. So. But I do know that there are some issues in other parts of the state that and in fact, it's gotten so bad it's hard to get referees.
Yeah.
Sometimes even call games.
Yeah.
So it is a responsibility of everybody, coaches, school systems, and probably parents. But but once you're coaching a team, it's your team too, and what are you going to allow? What are you going to do when your team or you have a player that is a problem with that. I don't care how good they are.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes the better you are, the more you can get away with it too.
Yeah.
So you know, it's just one of those things, and we'll just kind of monitor it and see and see. But I thought it was wise for the KSWSA to get a hold of this issue. They can't get a hold of the transfer issue. That cat's out of the bag. But they still have somewhat control of game maintenance and discipline that way.
Speaking of other football, you know, they had those games. What are they? They don't count. They're called exhibitions or something like
You're
that.
talking
in the
about
NFL.
preseason NFL? Yeah, I had week 1. That's right.
Yeah. Now I will say there were some surprises. I thought Jackson Dart didn't look too bad.
No, he played well.
Yeah.
He played real well when he came in.
Yep.
I think like 15 for 21
Yeah.
for the Giants.
Yeah.
He has Russell Wilson ahead of him, but I don't think that's going to be a long-term issue. So
Me neither.
So he's going to get a chance to play sometime this year. For
Yeah.
Sure.
And then our boy Tyler Shuck came in, and after his first pass, he looked pretty good.
Good and bad.
Yeah.
His first pass, or one of his first passes, was a pick 6 interception return.
Yeah.
But
Looked like he was throwing it to the defender.
But then he came back and threw like a 50-yard touchdown pass.
Beautiful pass,
Yeah,
too.
I don't think a lot of people expect a lot out of New Orleans.
No.
They probably, I think it's fair to say, most people think they are the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
He will get a chance to play, and if he can't beat out Spencer Rattler, then something's wrong.
True. That's very true. Shedeur Sanders looked better than expected.
Yeah, I think
maybe.
that was probably the number one thing that came out of the first week.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Shedeur Sanders, who dropped all the way to the 5th round. You know, he was expected by most people to be a first-round pick.
Yeah.
And not only was he fall all the way to the 5th, he wasn't even the first quarterback drafted by the Browns.
Dylan Gabriel was
so he came in as a 4th on the depth chart, and I guess you could say he caught a break. Kenny Pickett had a hamstring issue, didn't play.
Yeah.
Dylan Gabriel, the other rookie quarterback, who's a 3rd-round pick, had a hamstring and didn't play, and they weren't going to play Flacco.
Yeah.
So he got all the reps and got to play, and he looked like a good player.
Yeah.
I mean, he threw 2 touchdown passes. He looked like he belonged.
Mm-hmm.
He had his opportunity, and looked like to me he took advantage. Why he dropped to number 5 to the 5th round is still kind of puzzling in a lot of ways. It may have been, a humbling experience, but he could not have landed in a better place than Cleveland, because Joe Flacco is 41 years old. They have another rookie quarterback that looks like Shedeur had a better college career than Gabriel, and Kenny Pickett is. I don't think anybody's really fearful of him.
No.
Would it shock me? I don't think he'll start this year. I think Joe Flacco is going to get the first.
Yeah.
But Joe Flacco is not a long-term solution to them. So
he might be a 2-week solution.
Yeah. So Shedeur Sanders took advantage of a situation where the other 2 quarterbacks were hurt. He stepped in, he took advantage and played well, and that's what you got to do when you get your chance.
Yeah, I actually was pretty impressed by both of his touchdown passes. They were nice passes. It wasn't just like he threw a bubble screen to somebody and they took it to the house. They were both very good passes.
It's preseason, but he did not look out of place or overwhelmed.
No, I don't know. So were there any other people that stood out to you, these rookies? I was most interested in looking at these rookie quarterbacks because
it's kind of hard to judge everybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the one at Jacksonville, the 2-way player, Hunter.
Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter. He played both ways for. I think he played like 18 snaps, 10 and 8, things like that. So he did, I think, what people thought he would do. Went out and played well. The Penn State defensive lineman that went to the Giants, they say he looked like a big-time player.
Yes.
A big-time player.
Yeah.
So
is that Abdullah?
Yeah,
Abdul?
that's right. Yeah, I forgot his full name, but yeah, those guys and Cam Ward at Tennessee threw a touchdown. I think he threw a touchdown pass. Or played well his first first series that he had with Tennessee. Tennessee didn't. I don't think Tennessee's very good.
No,
but
they're down there with New Orleans as far as I could tell.
That's right. But he looked like to me he probably fits too, and there's no competition that he's got to worry about.
Yeah, that's right. I guess most of when I watch these preseason games for the most part to check out the rookie quarterbacks because they usually get plenty of reps in the preseason, so you're going to see how they look. Now, as the weeks go along, you of course get a better look because now they're starting to play with against more number one defenses and that kind of stuff, and then to see if anybody stands out. That's got touted in the draft, not necessarily a quarterback like the defensive lineman with the Giants who looked as good as everybody expected him to. And then sometimes I'm curious just to see what these offenses are they're trying to do early in the season because, obviously that's what they've been working on in training camp coming up to these games, and you want to see what people are trying to do offensive and defensive and that kind of thing.
I'm trying to watch for fantasy football purposes.
Future first-round draft picks, huh?
I only just want to watch the first quarter because after that, everybody, the ones that I'm going to draft are already out of the game. So.
Are you kidding? I don't tune in until the fourth quarter. I want to see the real bums out there.
You don't see the end.
I want to see how it really goes.
The people who are really fighting for the job.
That's right.
Yeah, that's.
See, last year he was a milkman. This year he's a starting defensive lineman.
That's true.
Yeah. Hey, you never know. There may be one of those guys out there.
You never know. That's
hey,
correct.
you got the kick returner there from what was that guy? The Patriots. Yes. Did you see this dude? He's the rookie.
Yeah, the Ohio State running back.
Yeah.
He's a second-round pick. I was surprised he's running kicks back.
Well,
scored on the first
possession.
It's
100 yards.
Yep.
So he was as fast as advertised.
Yep.
I guess. So you weren't impressed by the kick return?
No. The Patriots are going to.
Speaking of the kick return, though,
they're going to have a big. Yeah, the rule change. What's the second year of the rule change? Basically, the only thing they tweaked was that if the kicker kicks it into the end zone, they get it out all the way to the 35. Now.
Yes. Yeah, and so there were some shorter kicks. I think that's what it was. Now it looked like there were more kicks trying to get the ball basically about the 5-yard line instead of just kicking into the end zone.
Yeah, rather than getting at the 20 or 25, you get it all the way to the 35, or maybe it's to the 40. It's one of those. They are clearly encouraging. They walk a fine line.
Yes.
They don't want major collisions because of concussions, but they just don't want to just kick it in the end zone, just spot it every time.
Yeah, that's boring.
That's right. They want some action.
Yeah, and the kickoff action was a little different from what I saw in these preseasons versus last year.
There was more kickoffs.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty interesting. There was more return opportunities and that kind of thing. And, of course, like you said, it is a fine line because it's fun to watch people run into each other. If you're watching football, that's the deal.
Can I sign up for it, right?
Yeah, pretty much. All right, it's Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be right back.
Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's back to the studio with James and John, the Brown Sports Bag.
Well, John, you are the master of the MLB trade deadline and whatnot. I feel like you should probably be a GM. I think you could work this out, and make these cuts so that these trades work out for these teams. Teams really want to get on a run, win a championship.
The Mets probably made the biggest splash, and they've lost 7 in a row.
Yeah, that's the part that's kind of amusing, isn't it?
Yeah, everybody gave them like A's for all the relief pitchers they picked up and so forth, and now I think they've lost 6 or 7 in a row, and they've lost their last 2 by giving up big leads at the end with these relievers.
Yeah, the relievers are not relieving very well, I take it. Yeah, that's a shame for them. Meanwhile,
maybe there's something for clubhouse camaraderie.
Yeah, you just plug people in, right? That doesn't always work out.
Does not.
We see that from time to time, in especially in professional sports. But the Milwaukee Brewers, they're just rolling right along. I think they have 73 wins now. They're number 1 in the conference, number 1 in the league by like 3 or 4 games.
They got the best record in all of baseball.
Yeah.
They're 73-44. They won 9 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think nobody else has won 70 games.
No.
So they're at 73. They're almost too hot right now.
Right.
because not only have they won what did I say? How many in a row have they
9.
won? 9 in a row, but they probably have won 18 out of the last 21 too.
Yeah.
I mean, they're hot, just incredibly hot. And just to give you an example, can you name a player on their team?
No.
Okay.
I'm shocked that they're the number one team.
A positional
league.
player. It's hard to name a positional player on their team because it's a lot of players, a lot of guys. Christian Yelich is one.
Yeah.
But it's is it Christian? No, I named the soccer player. I may have named the soccer player. It's
That's Christian Pasilic. You got the right baseball player.
All right. Well, they have a lot of names that people don't know. Not a lot of low salaries actually.
Yeah.
But their pitching staff is incredible, and they gave away they traded their best reliever last year to the Yankees, and this guy's falling apart. Devin Williams, he's been awful.
They knew,
but they're almost similar to Tampa Bay, except they have more money to spend. I mean, they're not a huge payroll, but they are just their pitching is probably arguably the best in baseball right now. They got great pitching, and right now they're just on fire hitting wise and so forth. They did not make very many trades over the deadline. They made a few kind of minor ones, but it's not like they went out and got a great bat or anything like that.
Yeah, they were just sprinkling in some trades, I guess, to make sure they had proper depth or that kind of thing.
Right now they're the best team. Do I think they'll win the World Series? I don't.
Yeah.
If you ask me, I don't. I think they're almost playing too well. It's hard to sustain.
Yeah, they are. Well, until the Dodgers last year actually finished it off. I mean, a lot of the recent runs in Major League Baseball in the postseason had been a good team, but a team that just got hot at the right time.
Well, here'd be the nightmare for Major League Baseball. The nightmare would be a World Series with Milwaukee versus Seattle. just for ratings wise. And Seattle made a lot of good moves too. Now they've won 7 straight, and I think they are for real because their pitching is really good, and they've always struggled. They've always struggled with hitting, and right now they're not struggling near as much. They picked up, they got the leading hitter in baseball, home run hitter. It's the switch hitting catcher, Cal Raleigh. He's now at 45. 45 for a catcher. He's been incredibly good. They traded with they got Arizona's Suarez, the third baseman, who's got like 38 home runs. They got him. They traded and they got Naylor who's the first baseman for Cleveland that can hit it. That team right now, if you want to just a team that has a serious chance, a lot of people probably don't think about. I don't think the American League is that good.
Right.
I know the Yankees aren't. Take Seattle. I think they're for real.
That's kind of interesting that you mentioned that. That's the nightmare scenario because, I mean, what was it? 2 years ago, the Brewers and the Mariners were probably 2 of the worst teams in the league.
It's not a big market.
Yeah.
That's not a big market. I still think the Dodgers will be there. The Dodgers are still in first, and they've been 500 or below since the All-Star break. Their pitching has been so beat up, though.
Yeah.
Blake Snell, the Cy Young Award winner last year, was at San Diego. He's back. Left-handed pitcher. He threw real well last time, and it looks like they're getting their pitching back, and they've got their everyday lineup 1 through 9 is better than anybody.
Yeah.
And the Reds, for the Reds people, playing well.
That's what I was going to say.
They've moved within They're getting really close to the Cubs now. They're in the same division with Milwaukee. They're not going to catch them, but they have slowly inched up where now they are a serious contender to make a wild card run in the playoffs. The National League is better than the American League.
Yeah.
So
maybe they're the potential hot team in the playoffs.
They could. They got the Mets and the Phillies are both going to get in.
Yeah.
Milwauke's going to be in. San Diego and the Dodgers are going to be in. It may come down just to Cubs and Cincinnati.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say about the Reds fans. It's like, okay, we finally done the things we needed to do. We're there, and suddenly we're in the best division in baseball.
Yeah. Well, no, that's
crazy.
They're probably a hitter away.
Yeah.
Just to play in that park, they probably need a little bit more pop.
Yeah.
And they got really good pitching, but hitting wise, not a lot of home runs in that lineup.
So was the trade deadline watch all that you expected it to be?
Well, I think some teams helped themselves. There's nobody got a great start. The starting pitchers, nobody really got one.
Yeah, it didn't look like anybody really went into the fire sale route this particular time around.
So many teams are close to making it, and Minnesota traded 11 players away.
Yeah, but I guess that's as close as you got.
But they didn't give away their top pitcher. So
right, maybe the expanded playoffs are kind of cutting down on the fire sale at the trade deadline that had been going on.
Probably so.
Because now everybody thinks, well, we can be the team to get in and get hot, except for a few.
A few, and Colorado didn't have enough players to trade for. They gave away a few of their relief pitchers.
Yeah, they were.
And a third baseman. Their third baseman went to the Yankees.
Yeah, they were like, well, there ain't enough here to worry about, so we'll just hold on to what we mostly have.
And they sell out their attendance-wise. They don't have a whole big incentive, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's right. They make the money. They don't have to win.
That's right.
Some of these, that's the thing about MLB still, is there's still some teams out there, they don't need to win. They make the money.
Colorado's won.
Yeah, that's right. All right, this is Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be back again next week.
You've been listening to the Brown Sports Bag on WCLU. Be sure to join James and John again next Monday at 4 for another edition of the Brown Sports Bag.